Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the terrain generation tutorial. Today, we're going to be creating a shader which adds color to the terrain. If you haven't been following the series, great series to watch. Links in the description for the full playlist. Also, join our Discord for help with your coding, shader graphs, such and such. Also, if you go support me on Patreon, you can get project downloads and also extra coding help from me personally. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoy the episode and sit back and relax. Cool. So I'm using a universal render pipeline for this. So the way you do that is you go into packages, and then in Unity registry, you can find the package manager under window and then package manager right here. Cool. If you scroll down and you go universal render pipeline, you just click install. I've already got it installed. And then once you've got it installed, you need to create a pipeline asset. This can be created by going right clicking, then click create, then going rendering, universal render pipeline and pipeline asset, and then going into your project settings and dragging it into your graphics under scriptable render pipeline settings right here, and it says pipeline asset. For you, this will be none. For me, I just drag that in and it becomes that. Cool. Next, if your materials are screwing around, you can go edit, go down to the bottom, render pipeline, universal render pipeline, upgrade project materials to universal render pipeline materials. Proceed. Cool. Another thing, the shaders in this video are available on Patreon. Again, go get them if you want. Otherwise, I will be obviously going through them right now, so you can copy them down. Very basic, but you know, it could be handy. Cool. So first of all, I'll give a little bit of a show what this can do. To make a material out of a shader, first of all, if you just go into materials, and in your material that you want to create, you just go into shader. Up at this top, you can change it to shader graph and then terrain shader there. If I click play and create a world, you'll see the power of the shader and how easy it is to make later on. As you can see, it adds color in all the right places, makes it really cool. And kind of adds that little bit of life to the world, you know. A quite boring world turns into a quite, you know, full of life world. Because, you know, we have our terrain here, all generated, all nice. And yeah, it actually looks like a proper terrain now. All we need to do is add trees next, which will be the next episode. Anyway, inside of terrain shader, this looks surprisingly bare. I hear you say. Yes, it is. It is very, very plain, and there is a reason for that. It's because I have these things here are actually what do all the math for me. These are what we call sub-shaders inside a shader graph. This is the kind of shader master, which controls the actual color, smoothness, normals, emission, everything. Whereas this controls the actual color output. Now let's go and have a look, or quickly look through this. So we're getting the so at the start here, we're setting our base color kind of as sand, and then we're lerping between that and grass with a height value. It's getting in a sand height from over in our variables here. I'll just pull this out so you can see them. Pulling this node into another lerp node with cliff rock, and now we're getting the normal, meaning that we're only checking in this one with a threshold and height. We're only getting the most steep angles on our mesh, and then we're outputting that into the base color. So pretty basic. We'll go through the shaded sub shaders right now. So this is the smooth step height. So as you can see, we're taking a absolute well position here. We're splitting it into the Y value there. I'm just expanding this so you can see it. If you didn't know, split nodes in a position, you have X, Y, Z, RGB. The G is what we output as the Y, and we're contrasting that through that, and then we're adding one, smooth stepping that into another smooth step node. where we're essentially just getting the height and then outputting that into there. Here is a little bit of a run through: position, split, contrast, height, float into subtracts and adds, into smooth step, strength into float, float into 1 minus, 1 minus into smooth step into output. And for our height normal, this is a little bit more complicated, but it works kind of the same way. Getting the absolute world position, we're getting the Y position, we're contrasting that, we're getting the threshold, and we're adding to a smooth step node so we can get kind of this gradient, because this also is done by height. And then we're getting the normal vector, we're splitting it into the Y vector, and then we are multiplying that into a smooth step node with the other smooth step, and then we're getting the height blend and smooth stepping it, and then we're outputting the vector 3, which is a position. And then for our texture node, this is what we'll be using to actually generate the texture. I got this off Reddit, and I cannot remember which thread it was, so I'm sorry whoever created this, but I copied your shader graph, and I'm really sorry I can't give you credit. If I find out who it is, I will put it in the comments, not the comments, the description. But thank you so much. I found this on Reddit. This is a Voronoi cell-based random generation texture maker, pretty much, and we'll be using this later on in the video. Let's just close these. So currently, if we click play, it's going to create a world with just colors, right? But we probably don't want colors if we're creating a game. We most likely want to create some sort of texture, or have a texture for our terrain. Very unlikely that you'll be creating textures. Chances are you will definitely be using pre-made textures, and that's exactly what I'll be doing. So in my desktop, wow, my desktop is cluttered and I dislike it. I have found these really lovely hand-painted textures. Link is in the description for them. I did not make them. I will not take credit for it, but someone else did, and I will happily yoink those and use them for my own use. However, please do check his stuff out. He's really good at what he does. He also has tutorials online on how to do them. Cool, I'm just going to drag all of these in, because they just look amazing. Awesome. Now, in our terrain shader, we can change our grass from a color, so we can delete grass, and we're going to create a texture 2D, and this is going to be called grass. Let's just drag it back up to where all our grass is. Cool. So instead of color here, wow, we're going to drag this in, and then we're going to create a sample texture 2D. Now, this is we'd actually no. Well, we'd usually do that, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to use a shader, and we're going to drag in our texture shader. Awesome. And then we can take in a grass texture. I have a darken value here. You know, essentially, I had some pretty weird contrast issues with textures. If you do, you can just use the darken node here and change it. But cool. So that's going to output random. We can set here as that. Awesome. Now it's going to randomly chop it up and create a really cool texture out of it. Maybe. It's hand painted, but you know. Then also, so we're just going to collapse that, and we're going to add that to the side. I'm going to copy the texture, and we're going to make that a sand one. And we're going to input that into the A panel, or the A node. Cool. Let's delete the sand, and let's create a texture 2D called sand. Again, I've made this really easy that you guys can just, you know, copy this stuff, and then it's as easy as that. If you want to add extra stuff, all you gotta do is just make another lerp node down here. You go lerp A, and then you input your, you know, whatever so this is what you're going from, this is what you want to lerp to. In our case, so in case you might want to have, you know, have some sort of snow in your scene, then you just input the snow into there, and then do a smooth set height in your time, and then you just input that into the base color. It's as simple as that. The sand into the lerp node, and texture, easy. The sand is going to be the sand. Awesome. And yeah, the last one is the cliff rock, so all we gotta do is copy and paste. Delete cliff rock, create a new texture 2D, Cliff Rock, input the texture, input Cliff Rock, that into there, that into, not into there, that into there, save, set Cliff Rock as a, you know, the actual texture. The save, let's go back into our scene, let's click play, and let's see how it looks. And as you can see, it's all white. Now, there is a good reason for that. We haven't actually set them in our inspector, we only set them in our shader graph. So let's reset them. Grass, as you can see straight away, looking beautiful, looking stunning. It's, you know, it's hand painted, and because, you know, I've randomized it, it looks a bit weird. However, watch how cool this looks when we add, you know, the sand. Really nice color for the sand. Then the rock. Oh, that just looks so nice, doesn't it? Yeah, to be honest, it looks pretty cool. Let me take a screenshot for the thumbnail. What is your thumbnail? Awesome. If you don't want this, you know, choppy randomness, which personally I don't like for this, you know, it's better for more realistic textures. You can just plug this straight into a sample texture 2D, and then output the it into there. Yeah, it's really simple just to change this, because personally I don't really like it for the style, but I'll still include the shader, as it is a very good shader to use. As you can see, it's all generated now and it looks a lot better. That's actually the end of the video. Yeah, it was that easy. You just install or copy some shaders. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not the best at shaders, but if you have fiddle around, you can do something like this. If you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe. If you didn't, well, you know, that's your fault. Nah, I'm joking. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.